Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife. Just getting the day started. I'd like to give a quick shout out to my sponsors so they keep sponsoring me because money is how I pay my bills. FightBackCBD, thank you guys so much for being an awesome sponsor. You get discounts on that if you click the link in the bio. Also, Gold BJJ and MMA Pack. Feel free to check those guys out. They're also awesome. Today I have my guest, the pipe layer himself, Mr. Jeff Glover. How's it going, brother?
Hello, Rob. Thank you for having me. I love your page, and you do great things for our community. So when you asked me to be on to do a conversation with you, I definitely wanted to jump on that.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It's been fucking weird to be honest. Like I started doing this about 6 years ago. I've been in the arts for like 22 years, but I started doing this about 6 years ago for McDojoLife. And just within the last like year, it's just kind of become my career, and it's been awesome, but weird at the same time because all these people that I look up to, I get to talk with now and have a little bit more personal relationship with it, which is really cool. And I actually remember watching two things from you back in the day that really kind of put me on to your style of jiu-jitsu. One was you did this video. It was like Jeff Glover Travels or something like that. Do you remember that?
Glover's Travels. It was based around Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah, and that was pretty slick. I remember watching that. And it used to play at our the studio that I trained at. They just had it on repeat for a while, and I was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And then you also had it was a series. It was like a technique series, but the commercial for it was hilarious. It was like most DVD series have absolutely no Jeff Glover, but this one is 99% pure Jeff Glover. It's like the funniest shit I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I do have to give all the credit to Budo Jake for those. He came up with the he came up with all the funny commercials for it. We obviously filmed all that stuff, and I was me during all the filming, and I did all my weird stuff. But he put it into commercial form, and it came out really well, and that definitely boosted me in the jiu-jitsu community. And to this day, I still get messages from people who tell me that they either bought that DVD and it's helping them, and they're deep half guarding everybody, or they just came across that commercial on YouTube and they thought it was hilarious. So I still, it's over 10 years old, and I still get a lot of hits on that.
Oh man, it's hilarious. I actually, whenever I post this up on YouTube, that's going to be what I use to like kind of advertise that this is going up because it's like the funniest thing to me. Now, what got you started in the martial arts, man? What made you think, you know what, I just kind of want to choke people for a living now?
I was my coach moved into my neighborhood. Actually, it was like a chance encounter, man. One of those godsends or whatever you want to call it, but. Frangia moved into my neighborhood that I was living in. Well, I was 16, living at my mom's house, and three houses down, Frangia and his whole Brazilian family moved in. And I made friends with him and his family, and within 2 weeks, I just wanted to be like him. I met Frangia, and I was like, okay, this is a man that I want to be like that. I want to be untouchable. I want to be confident. I want to have the respect this man has. The way people looked at him and talked to him, I was like, I want that same respect. So I knew within 2 weeks of meeting Frangia that I wanted Frangia's life. And that meant giving myself to jiu-jitsu.
Do you think you have that now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty badass. I've seen a lot of the footage from back in the day, like especially you in like open weight divisions, like absolute divisions. And there's actually a pretty famous video. It went viral a long time ago of you versus this huge fucking guy. I don't remember who it was, but you definitely like climbed that dude. And it was very impressive the way you handled that. I don't know if you remember that particular one, but it's awesome.
Yeah, Sergio Farnes, who's a black belt from Mika out in Las Vegas. He's one of the best friends I've ever had. And of course, I met him through the jiu-jitsu community. And we had that match, and that's the thing about jiu-jitsu, man, is we can have matches and still be brothers. And we both got a lot of attention for that match because he's so big and I'm so little. And it looked weird.
Well, you actually like climbed the dude. It's like climbing a tree.
Well, Frangia, awesome. from a young like early in my jujitsu, Frangia put in my brain that like big guys don't mean shit. It doesn't matter how big the dude is. If your jujitsu's better than his, you're gonna beat him. You know, and he instilled that into me early, and really used to push me to do the absolutes. There were several absolutes that I did and won as a purple belt that I wasn't gonna do. And Frangie was like, Jeffy, don't be a pussy. Sign up. And I was like, man, I don't want to compete. I won my division. I'm done for the day, you know. And Frangie was like, go, Jeffy, do it. And I was like, fuck, all right. And I did it, and then I won, you know. And it was like it got me more attention, and it was one of those like, damn, Frangia, thank you for pushing me, man. Thank you for not letting me like wimp out, which I totally would have if he wasn't there to, you know, smack me on the back of the head and say like, man up, boy, you got to fight. You're here to fight. Let's fight.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always enjoyed about like Brazilian coaches specifically, because most Brazilian coaches I've ever had were always had that mentality of like, no, you're going to do it again. Or if you try to leave, like you do like a fundamentals class and there's like open sparring afterwards and like, where are you going? It's like, well, I was going to go home. No, you're not. Like, oh, okay. I guess I will stay now for the next 2 hours.
I don't know that it's like a Brazilian thing. I think it's just an alpha male thing.
Mm.
I think Frangie is like a real man, and that's what real men do is they push people around them, and they try to help people, especially the people that are like under their wing, you know. They try to build those people up, and I don't know that it has anything to do with Brazilians, because I've met a lot of Brazilians that I really didn't like, you know. But Frangia is a whole. He's not even a Brazilian. He's a fucking human being, man. He's like a professional role model,
Mm.
you know. So like I said, man, that's just an alpha male trait that he has, is to bring up the people around him.
Yeah. Do you do the same thing with your students?
I don't think I do it as well as Frangia. I don't think I
Mm.
can do anything as well as Frangia, but I definitely try. And it's nice to have him as a role model and a like I have a visual. I'm always like trying to do what Frangia did, try to bring people up the way Frangia did. Like I said, I don't think I do it as well as he does, but I sure as heck try.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a lot of people though, man. Like unfortunately, both of my original instructors have passed away. Like one just passed away like 2 weeks ago, which is kind of surreal. Because like
Rest in
on one
peace.
hand, what's up?
Rest in peace.
Yeah, man. My first instructor, he was awesome. He was a very charismatic man. He was the person that got me in love with teaching. Like always loved to train. Training was always there. I always enjoyed that. But actually, he got me wanting to like control and demand respect on the mat and how to make people better human beings. And like it got me fascinated because he could walk on a mat and just start speaking and everybody in a room would shut up. And then you'd see other people, they start speaking and they don't command. It's something about their presence, man. Something about the way that they're put together, their aura. I don't know what the fuck you would call it, but they just have that way about them. And then he was always that way, but he was very charismatic. And my other instructor, who I actually moved over and started working with him because he was directly under my instructor. And my instructor at the time was having serious financial issues. And he was like, hey, man, look, I just can't afford to pay you anymore. And I was like, well, I still kind of need a job. And I kept training with my original instructor, but I started working and teaching for his direct understudy. And, that guy paid me great and he taught me a lot about business, but he was a complete asshole. And so like he taught me so much, but it's also at the same time, it's like he was also a complete dick. So it's really hard to be like, he passed away and he taught me so many of these things, but at the same time, he was just a complete asshole. It's like, it's weird, man. Like, I don't know if you've ever had any mentors like that where you're like, I appreciate you for these things, but these things you sucked. Has that ever happened?
Mark Lehman was like that. Do you know about Mark Lehman?
No, man.
Well, Mark Lehman, he started Cobra Kai. You know about Cobra Kai?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Mark Lehman started that. There was a big insurgence in Las Vegas where all the top American grapplers were going out to train with Mark Lehman. Me and Bill Cooper included, Rafael Lovato, Simpson Go. I mean, Mike Fowler, all the best of the best in America would all make trips to go train with Lehman in Vegas. And Lehman was known for being an asshole. Like Lehman he wasn't trying to make friends with anybody. He was just like, yo, let's get on the mat. Let's do some jujitsu. And he was rude, man. Like at tournaments, like people fucking hated Mark Lehman. The way he coached against his students against opponents, it really like flustered a lot of people. So he was known for being an asshole, but the techniques I learned from him, the jujitsu I learned from him, I use to this day. But you're right though. The mentorship that I got from Frangia was very different than I got from Mark. Mark was an asshole. Mark didn't want to do anything except help me with jujitsu. Frangia wanted to help me with life.
Yeah. I think that's what marks a good instructor. Like, I think you could be a great instructor. I'm sorry. I think you could be a good instructor and teach people technique, but in order to be like great, you have to teach them more than just how to choke people, or like at least see the value in it. Because I mean, fuck, like one thing that I learned quick, because I had been doing martial arts for years before I actually started doing jujitsu, and it was like a thing of fate. My current instructor right now, I was actually teaching on site at it was a private school. And so I used to teach karate at this private school, and I'd go there after school, teach karate to kids, and then I'd leave. And that was like my income not every day of the week. I'd do that. I was making bank, dude. It's a great way to make money. It's like $55 a kid. You only teach an hour a week. You have like 15 kids per class. I was doing great. And then I was leaving, and I had my gi on, and he was walking in, but he had his jujitsu gi pants on, and he had a rash guard on. And we just happened to pass each other. There was nobody else in the parking lot. And I was like, oh shit. So I started a conversation with him, and I was like, my goal before I die is I'd love 10 black belts. I want 10 black belts before I die. I just want to understand all of this the best I can. And he was like, well, have you done jujitsu yet? And I was like, no, I'd love to. And he gave me a card, and he had just opened his own studio. And I was like, well, fuck it. And I started training over there. And the first day I was over there, I just realized that I thought I had a good grasp on martial arts until I got taken down. And then I was like, oh, I have no clue what I am doing now. And then I was getting choked. It was a beautiful experience. And if it wasn't for that moment, I think I wouldn't understand how much the martial arts really helped me other places other than the mat. Because punching and kicking people is a fairly simple concept. The idea is easy. Choking people is a little different. You can look at it and say it looks easy until you get a hold of somebody who knows what they're doing. Then you're like, oh, this is a real chess match. This isn't like there's an athleticism in there, but there's a lot of head games. It's like, where do I put my hand? An inch too high, inch too low, I fucked up. A little slower, a little faster, I messed up. It's such a strange thing. How do you think it helps you in your day-to-day life, man?
Yeah, I need to stop being surprised by people who are surprised that they suck at fighting.
Happens like every day. A new guy walks in,
And every time I'm always like amazed by it. I need to stop being amazed by that. I need to just understand that the general public thinks they can fucking fight. I don't know how the hell everybody got it in their mind that they know how to fight. I don't know what kung fu movies you guys were watching growing up or pro wrestling. I don't know who told everybody that they can fight, but motherfuckers come into jiu-jitsu thinking they can do some shit, and just get broke off time after time after time, day after day after day at jiu-jitsu schools all across the world. Every day this happens, and us jiu-jitsu teachers are always shocked by it. Like, man, that guy thought he was going to come in and beat everybody. And it's like, we need to just understand that's how people are, man. Everybody thinks they can hold their weight until they get on the motherfucking mat and realize this shit is serious, and it's not just something you get good at by looking at it.
Well, back in the day, like before UFC, right? Back even a little after UFC, I would say probably it was like 95, all the way up till about 1995. The stigma was that if you did jiu-jitsu, all the stand-up fighters were like, that's gay. Grown-ass men rolling around on the floor, that's gay. And then, of course, the opposite was, jiu-jitsu guys would be like, yeah, you can try to kick me in the head all you want with that fancy crap. I'm going to pick you up, dump you on your head, and choke you to sleep. And so, like, it just only seems like recently that there's been a little bit more of a melding because of MMA. Do you think that's because of UFC, or do you think that's just because of, in general, jiu-jitsu was eventually going to get there any damn way?
UFC has definitely made jiu-jitsu not such a fringe, weird thing. Like, a lot of people know about it now. And the way I see it, I'm like, dude, how do you know about jiu-jitsu and not do it?
You ever seen that movie? What the fuck is it? It's Starship Troopers. You ever seen Starship Troopers?
Where they go fight aliens, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they go fight the bugs, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, in the movie though, there's like these they have these fight scenes, or they have like all the humans have like these superhuman abilities already. Like, he's like running the football and he like somersaults over somebody to get into the end zone, or like they're having a fist fight, he grabs the dude by his chest and picks him up over his head and slams him. In my head, I think that's how martial arts is slowly working. I think that the average person is slowly but surely starting to understand basics, because of the popularity of MMA. They're understanding what a rear naked choke, the general concept is. Even if they've never done a day in their life, they could be like, yeah, I think I got it. What do you think?
I think you're right about that. That's absolutely true. I have a lot of new students. It's their first day. They come in and I show them something and they're like, "Oh, that's called RNC." I'm like, "Oh, where'd you learn that? How do you know that?" And he's like, "Oh, UFC, man. I'm a big fan." And it's like, okay, well, that's not a horrible thing. That's good. At least you came in with a little bit of understanding. I don't see how that's a bad thing.
Now, it's funny, we're talking about techniques that people know, right? So you're obviously known for donkey guard, right? And so people know about, whenever they say donkey guard, usually your name is somewhere in that same paragraph. So like, when did that start? What was like, I'm going to start doing this shit now?
I still am learning about myself and how that all came to be and how I just started doing it. I don't know, man. It's a combination of flying leg scissors attacks. It's a combination of my natural ability to throw up flying triangles. I was good at that before I even knew what it was. I was doing flying triangles and jumping flying attacks, and Frangia never really did them himself or taught them to me, but he noticed that I had a tendency to do it. So he encouraged it. He was like, "Jeffy, that's not my style. You're good at tying up with dudes and jumping from the feet and making things happen." So he always encouraged that in me. And one thing led to another, like I said, a big part of what I used to like doing was jumping for, what do you guys call it? Inside Sakaku. Dean Lister calls it 411. Was from the feet, finding ways to jump into the 411 and just get to that heel hook as fast as possible and finish the match without, burning a bunch of energy. So trying to go for that, on top of the fact that my deep half guard, I'm so confident with my deep half guard, and I'm so confident with my back defense that if I should get my back taken, you're not going to choke me. You'll take the back, but you're not going to choke me. I'm very confident in that, probably unrealistically confident in that. That's what causes me to turn my back to opponents. Because if you just go ahead.
No, I was just saying, just to add to that, I took a seminar with Frank Shamrock years ago. It was like a 3-hour seminar, and all he taught was attacks while somebody was on your back. And it was very interesting. He would just give the shit up. Like, I don't know if that's like your thought process if you plan on attacking, but I don't really see you attacking a lot from your back. You escape quickly from your back.
Right. And then off of that escape, as soon as I escape you trying to hold on to my back, like 98% of my game is from there. I hit deep half guard. And then once I get my deep half guard on, I'm unstoppable. So donkey guard is based on the safety net of deep half guard, that when it fails, when I expose my back and motherfucker jumps on my back and actually takes my back, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I think
somebody actually has a question about that. Christopher Velez, he says, what caused you to develop the deep half?
Deep half guard, Frangia was big on just half guard. Frangia wanted me to be really good at half guard. And then one of his old training partners, a Brazilian legend, his name is Eduardo Conceição, and his nickname is Jamalão. And Jamalão in Brazil is a motherfucking legend. He's beaten Jean-Jacques, he's beaten Solo, he's beaten Gordo, he's beaten Roleta. He beat all the best of the best back in the day. Using deep half guard. So he was good friends with Frangia. They grew up in the same neighborhood. Frangia brought him to Santa Barbara to conduct a few seminars. Bada bing, bada boom. He taught us deep half guard. Within a year, I think I was like doing it better than him. And I had developed it. And I don't know if I added onto it, but I just kind of created a system around it where I think Jamalel would just kind of teach, okay, go to this position and try this move or try that move. I developed like a system that like is based off a checklist where you got to follow the checklist. And if you skip one of A, B, or C, if you just skip down to F, you're going to mess up, man. You got to follow the checklist. So I started developing that in my blue belt years. And by the time I got to brown and black belt, it was pretty much mastered.
It's funny because like I would say that guys like yourself, the Meow Brothers, smaller framed dudes, right? At least for the absolute divisions, right? your jujitsu is super duper technical in my eyes. When I look at it, you can pinpoint and pick out techniques. You can go, this is the reason why this happened. But there are guys now, like you're looking at guys like, I'm not bashing the man because I think he's very talented, but like guys like Gordon Ryan, these are big fucking guys. Like what do you think do you think jujitsu has kind of changed, geared more towards bigger guys now, or do you think it still should be more technical? Not saying that they're not. I'm just saying that, obviously those guys over at Henzo's are fucking beasts. Like, those guys are very talented, especially when it comes to advancing the leg lock game and stuff like that. John Donahere has done a great job with those guys over there. And of course, Henzo's over there, so they have great mentorship. But do you think that jiu-jitsu in general in tournaments, especially absolute divisions, is going to start going towards the bigger guys?
It's always been for the bigger guys. It's always a rare occasion, and it's a special occasion when a little guy wins the absolute. And it deserves a lot of praise. And that's what got me so much praise in my early years is I would do absolutes and win as a little guy. And it's never expected. No one expects the little guy to win. I don't care what world we're living in. The little guy enters the absolute, you're like, yo, he's going to lose. And when he wins, we're shocked. And I think rightfully so. But, I think that big guys, I think it's more natural for little guys to be on the developmental end of jiu-jitsu. The conceptual end of jiu-jitsu. The imagination end of jiu-jitsu, the creative part of jiu-jitsu, most likely makes more sense to come from little guys. And I think that the bigger guys are not idiots too. The big guys, just because they're big, doesn't mean they can't learn what the little guys do. And I think when you get somebody like Gordon Ryan, who has such a technical game and his ability to do the moves that little guys do, and his ability to be technical, and he's just an amazing learner, combined with his sheer athleticism and his alpha male mind state, you're going to get an amazing champion.
Yeah, the dude's no slouch, man. He works his ass off too, to be honest. Like even when he got his knee injury, he was still in the gym every day, which is very impressive to me. A lot of people will sit on their laurels and be like, what, I'm hurt, I'm just going to sit on my ass. But like, dude, even when he was slightly out of shape from like the 2 days that he wasn't working out, like he'd still murder people, I think, even with that fucked up leg. Like,
yeah, no, he's amazing. The encounters I've had with Gordon Ryan, first of all, he was so respectful to me and nice and just a humble kid. And it's like, he talks shit online, but it's like, good. Jiu-jitsu needs characters. We need alpha males. We need dope ass dudes talking shit that can back it up. That's what I thought. That's what this was all about. So guys like Gordon Ryan come around and I'm like, yo, that's a breath of fresh air, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of big McGinesteins out in the world right now. I don't quite understand it. I went a little bit of a different direction, like especially through this channel, because most of the time I pretty much am just talking shit about people. Most of the time, I'm just like, that's complete horseshit. You're ripping people off. I think that you should close your doors now because you're a piece of garbage. But like I'm starting to do these open mats because I think that there's a lot of people in the martial arts community that don't want to compete, which I don't see anything wrong with that. Everybody does it for their own reasons. Some people want to be competitors. Some people fucking don't. They just want the social aspect of it. So I'm starting to do these open mat / kung fu theaters where I'm playing old school kung fu movies, and people are doing jujitsu, kickboxing. Every month it's going to change, but it's just opening the door for what I would hope would be more spectators to want to participate in like the events, because you're already there, you're watching a movie, people are hanging out. It's a little bit more relaxed. I think it's so much harder to get somebody who hasn't done it before to watch something like MMA or watch something like Jiu-Jitsu Live to make them want to get into it, unless they just have a fire under their ass and like, I really want to compete. Like maybe there's more to it. Maybe we can get more people involved if it's a little bit more relaxed, but I don't know. What do you think?
Competing's not for everybody, man. I was so good at competition because I had a chip on my shoulder. Looking back on it now, I'm starting to understand a lot about myself. I'm 36 now. Hopefully as you get older, you're able to understand yourself and grow. So I'm learning that for myself, my motivation was I wanted to prove to people that I wasn't just a little weak person that I had been told I was my whole life. I wanted to prove like, okay, yeah, I'm little, but you know what? I have this amazing mentor who's teaching me how to be a man, and he's teaching me this jujitsu stuff. And I want to go show people that I have value in this world. And jujitsu, winning jujitsu competitions and beating other men helped me feel great about myself. And You know, that was my main motivation personally for competition. Was I needed to feel better about myself, and I needed to feel manly.
Did it help?
You know, and that is what it is. You know, I know it's different for everybody, but for me, it was I needed attention. I was good at it. I like doing things I'm good at, and I got a lot of praise for it, and I got a lot of love for it, and I was in need of love. You know, I grew up with a lot of parental and sibling issues and a lot of self-doubt and a lot of insecurities, and this new jiu-jitsu thing that came into my life and going to tournaments was crushing all of those problems in my life. And man, I couldn't keep moving further fast enough. I wanted to turn 180 degrees away from all that insecurity and negativity and move into a forward moving place in my life, and jiu-jitsu tournaments and the jiu-jitsu community gave that to me, and it was fucking beautiful.
I'm curious, man, because like I know you did the high rollers, which I think is amazing. Guys like Big Lon over there and Matt. I think that it's a beautiful thing because I think they're breaking the stigma of marijuana. And I know that a lot of guys, especially fighters who have been doing this all the way into their 40s and their bodies start breaking down. I mean, shit, everything starts to hurt, man. Shoulder, neck, back, reoccurring injuries and stuff like that. And marijuana for a lot of guys is a pain reliever for them that allows them not to be too out of it and continue to train and continue to help other people, in my eyes, learn self-defense. You know, because most of these guys who are high-level competitors are also teachers. They're out there, they have dojos, they're teaching other people, or they're doing seminars. And if they're in too much pain, it makes it very difficult for them to continue that. So, like, you won the high rollers thing. I saw the big ass bag of weed that they gave you, which was pretty awesome. But you started getting a lot of shit. Like on that, you had posted a picture of yourself after high rollers with the bag of weed. And I think you were like in a hotel or something like that. And you were just enjoying the moment of winning. And all these Brazilians just started ripping you apart. Like, what do you think the stigma is? Why do you think they had so much of an issue?
I do understand because, you know, and it's tough for me to say this, but I never smoked weed as a medicinal inflammation solution. I smoked weed because I liked it, and it made me feel there was this little part of me that needed to do something illegal and be against. I don't know. I liked that it was illegal. I liked that it wasn't something everybody did. I liked that I don't know, something about the subculture. It was like a counterculture thing that I really was into. And to this day, I smoke weed a lot. I smoke a lot of weed, but it was more like party time Glover. Every day was a party. Every day, constantly. How can I enjoy myself? Looking back on it now, it was kind of like a drug addict. It might have been like, you know, because my father, I was raised by a drug addict. I've seen that my whole life, and I think a lot of that trickled into me, and I have these drug addict tendencies. And I think marijuana was in a way was good for me that I got into that and got so involved in smoking weed every day, because I wasn't doing coke, I wasn't doing meth, I wasn't doing heroin, I wasn't smoking cigarettes, I wasn't binge drinking, you know, I wasn't going to parties, I was just smoking pot. And you know, while I was doing it in a way that I think was kind of wrong in a way, it also, I think, kept me away from worse problems. Because I have a lot in me that wants to be like a fiend and a drug addict and all this shit. And if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu and the positive influence that Gia provided me, I probably would have gone down that route and become just like my father.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, we all have vices. I think that's all there is to it. I can't think of one person on this planet who doesn't have a vice. I think that's what also irritates the shit out of me about the cult leaders that I post, because I think they're cult leaders, to be honest. They're taking advantage of people, whether it be monetarily or whether it be because they need to feel like they're in power of people, but they're definitely taking advantage of people. And those are the people who always kind of raise their own clout by pretending they don't have any of these issues. I automatically, that's a red flag for me. As soon as somebody like is holier than thou, like I know they have the most fucked up problems in the world. Like it's just because you're hiding it, you know, you're hiding something major, You know, it's just, it's sad. But I think it's a good thing for a lot of people to, at least you have something that you can go, you know what, maybe I do have this issue, but here is my substitute. You know, I'll do this instead. You know, I'll be addicted to this instead. Because if you have it, you have it. The shit ain't gonna go away. It's not like magic. I'm cured. I feel better about my life, and I'm the greatest person in the world. If smoking some weed makes you better or feel better or not go out there and do some really illegal shit, fucking do it. In my opinion,
I think that's what it does for me. Is it prevents me, like when I smoke pot, when I smoke weed, I call people and apologize. Like I send people messages like, dude, like I get like nice. Like I will apologize. Like, dude, I've never apologized to somebody unless I was high on weed.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I'll hurt somebody's feelings, do something mean, blah, blah, blah. I'll be like, fuck that motherfucker, man. I don't give a fuck, dude. Oh my God. I'm such an asshole. Oh, I'm going to message him now. Dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be a dick. And it's like, you know, sometimes I'm like, I want to stop smoking weed because I think it's the social crutch that I use. But then at the same time, I'm like, dude, I would be such an asshole.
You know, it's funny because in, I don't know how many states do this, but in Florida anyway, if you have a medical marijuana card, you cannot have a concealed carry. Which to me is kind of backwards. I would think that a medical marijuana card should be the prerequisite to having a concealed carry. You know, like, who are you going to shoot? You're too high. You ain't hitting shit. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
No, you were, you know, there's a ton of shit. Like, you've had a pretty fucking amazing career, to be honest, like in terms of jujitsu and things that you've accomplished. I think it's awesome that you've worked so hard towards something and you still have a passion for it. Obviously, you own a martial arts studio. So where's your studio at?
Santa Barbara, California. There's a little city next to it called Goleta. It's like the sister city. And it's a little more mellow than Santa Barbara. So my gym's over here, you know.
Yeah, I was out there in LA. Like, I go out there every once in a while. Like, I don't know. I think I've been there like 4 times this year. And when I went out there, like, it was just a lot of assholes, man. Like, LA is, I thought New York was full of assholes, but New York is full of people who are assholes to your face. LA is full of assholes who smile in your face, and then they are assholes. It's the only way I can really put it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I was born in LA and I'm kind of an asshole, so.
Yeah. Nature versus nurture, man. Was I born that way, or did LA make me this?
Maybe. I don't know, man. I think it's in my genes to kind of be an asshole, so.
Well, I mean, you did pick a art or a career where you do get to choke and injure people. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I don't think anything else would have worked out for me, man. Nothing else could work. I always tell people I had the 3 J options in my life: Jiffy Lube, jail, or jujitsu.
Never Jiffy Lube, huh?
Oh man, I could not work, dude. Honestly, dude, if I couldn't teach jujitsu, I would be a miserable sack of living on the side of a fucking. I don't know what I would be doing. I don't like thinking that thought.
Did you ever have to do a 9 to 5?
I did. I was a plumber for a little while. I worked with a plumbing company. That's how I got the name The Pipe Layer when I was like a blue belt. One of my side jobs was I was an apprentice for this plumber, and he would pick me up at 6 a.m. and fucking, oh, that sucked, man. And we would go fucking clean out pipes and fucking crawl under houses and tear out P-traps and all this stuff that comes with being a plumber. I did that for about 6-7 months, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. till freaking 9 p.m., whatever. Or whatever, however late the guy wanted me to stay. And I was making money. It was all right. Like, he paid me well, but I didn't give a fuck about money, dude. I was like, nah, nope, I'm going to do the jujitsu thing. And that was the last like job that I had when I was 19. After that, I told myself I'm never going to make $1 that doesn't come from jujitsu. And that's been the story of my life since I was 19. I have never made $1. I've never sold a drug. I've never sold anything. The only things I sell are jujitsu stuff. I sell jujitsu moves and jujitsu products. And that's probably the number one thing I'm proud of in my life.
Well, that's awesome. You know, you got to stick to your guns, man. A lot of people fuck themselves up by second guessing this shit. You know, especially in the martial arts, I see a lot of guys who they think that making money in the arts is a bad thing. And I think that's where a lot of great martial artists fail, is they have that stigma that if they make money and they're successful, then they've sold out, or they're a McDojo. And that's just not true, because in order for them to be successful, in order for them to help more people, they have to keep their doors open and their lights on. It's just, you have to.
Yeah. No, I understand both points. I get it. Sometimes I hate charging people for jujitsu because part of it is Frangia never charged me. Frangia
Really?
never made me pay. No, he never made me pay for a membership. I think out of the kindness of his heart, he saw a weak little boy that was going nowhere in life, and he knew that he could financially afford to sponsor my training. And like I said, out of the kindness of his heart, he did that. He never charged me for jujitsu. I never paid Frangie a dime of
How
money.
old were you when you started?
16.
Oh, wow. Okay. Shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
So I think that kind of affects me and makes me feel bad about charging people for jujitsu sometimes. But for the most part, you're absolutely right. I'm well aware that I have to pay my bills,
Mm,
and I know there's other people out there charging more than I do who teach not as good jujitsu as I do,
mm.
and that kind of resets me and helps me keep moving and keep being a teacher and wanting to make money in the jiu-jitsu industry.
Yeah, man. So Chris has another question. He said, when's your next super fight or tournament you're doing? Because I know that, to my knowledge, I thought you had retired.
Yeah, I did. The last match I did was the high rollers,
Mm,
and even I was kind of like retired before that, but that was such a good opportunity. It was for a pound of weed. The jujitsu marijuana culture community has been so good to me. So much love and support over the years from jujitsu stoners, and I just couldn't say no to that, So I took that match, win or lose. I knew I was gonna announce a retirement afterwards because my neck hurts, brother. My
mm,
neck fucking hurts when people start pulling on my neck, and I train like 3 days a week. Like it takes to if you want to do a good performance, you got to train a lot. There's no way
mm.
around that. So the times that I train a lot, I get hurt, I get sore, my neck hurts a lot. I've never had an MRI. I'm pretty sure I have like bulging discs. My lower back, my right hip, the injuries are starting to add up, and I'm worried about how I'm going to feel in my 60s and 70s. So with all that in mind, I decided to retire from competition. I felt like I had done enough. I felt like I've made a good name for myself. I felt like I've given the world enough highlight footage, that if I retired, I wouldn't be hated for it.
Yeah. Now, have you ever listened? I'm sure you know who it is, but Dan Inosanto.
Of course.
Yeah, he has like a theory about like short, mid, and long term training that I like kind of really started paying attention to when my knee started getting real fucked up. And he was basically like, your short term, which is like makes you all the way until about 30. You start when you're young, you can train until you're about 30, 35. And that's the competitor. The people who are in there, they're fighting all the time. They're doing MMA all the time, doing kickboxing all the time, but actual competitive matches. That's about how long you can really last with your body if you're like elite top level fighting, really trying to do it, right? And then you have like that midterm training, which gets you till about your 50s, which is like you're doing competitions every once in a while. You're competing here and there, but you're not doing them like hardcore. It's not your career path, and then you have the long-term guys who don't ever compete. What do you think about that?
No, that's interesting. One of my buddies, I was talking to one of my buddies about like insecurities I'm having, and just trouble adjusting to, like, he calls it civilian life. Um, he was saying, like, it's almost traumatizing for a fighter to retire. It really throws you for a loop. You spend so much time thinking about these fights, and all of a sudden that's just out of your life, and you got to become a civilian, a citizen again. And my buddy thinks it's driving me crazy, and that I should think about doing 1 or 2 tournaments a year just to kind of keep me, you know, going. And I think he's right, but part of it is I said I was retired, and I don't, I don't want to like be the guy who's like, like in pro wrestling, they do that all the time, and it's always hated in pro wrestling. The guy retires, and then 2 months
Yeah.
later he comes back. It's like,
Mm,
motherfucker, you got us all excited. You made us all cry about your retirement for you to just come back. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I already said I'm retired. Like, who I respect is Mendez. Guillermo
mm,
Mendez retired when he was 24, and he meant that shit. He won his fucking
mm.
5 world titles, and then he retired, and that was it. And now he focuses on being a teacher and a gym runner, whatever he does, and his family. And I thought that was pretty brave of him to retire at such a young age. But like, what are you gonna say to Guilherme Mendes, dog? He won 5 world titles. He can retire, bro. He did something so young. It's so special at such a young age. You know, I don't think anybody can say anything. But then again, like I said, when you're used to competing all the time and you just stop, something's gonna break in your mind. Something's gonna crack. You're gonna start going kind of nuts, man. I know I am, dude.
So what do you do to focus on something else? What do you focus on now? Because I mean, that's really what it is you're focusing on something so hard for so long, and then, like you said, it's just not there anymore. I mean, you got to change your focus, you know, and like that just kind of brings us to a nice segue too. Is like you trained a lot with Jocko, you know, and what would Jocko say, you know?
Yeah, no, Jocko would tell me to mount up, get up on your horse, wake up early, make your bed, quit being a little beta, and fucking do your thing, you know. And he's right. He's right. Whatever Jocko says, as soon as you bring in Jocko to the conversation, I have to instantly bow down.
The dude's a highly intelligent man and a straight up killer, you know. But I think the thing about that dude that like shocks me the most is like what I think that most stereotypes in like the 1980s would be, you know, like the big guy, the meathead, the military guy. The truth is he's a super intelligent fucking human being. It kind of blows my mind. Like most of those guys, those high level military special forces, Navy SEAL guys are all super fucking intelligent. I guess it's a prerequisite. Can't be dumb.
Sure. Yeah, but at the same time, he never did a jiu-jitsu tournament, so, you know.
He's never done a tournament?
Not that I know of, no.
Oh, shit, okay. Well, there you go. Maybe you can't relate. I don't know, man.
Get some, Jocko!
Yeah, man, like, it's funny, because he's on the other coast. Like, he's over there in California, like where you are. I guess, right? He's over there in California?
Yeah, he's in San Diego.
So he does these like every morning posts where he'll like show his watch. That's like his post for the morning. It's like 4:30 a.m. But like I'm 3 hours ahead. So like when I'm like, dude, I've been up for hours.
Man, Ryan Hall had a funny thing about that too. I forget what it was, but his whole thing was like, you know, trying to make people feel bad because you wake up early and they don't, motherfucker. You don't realize I'm doing work. I work out at 1:30 in the morning, motherfucker. What are you doing? You're sleeping.
Yeah, I've been on a lazy streak lately. I've been working so hard to try to make this a thing that my training's lacking. But I figured, like, you know, I'm only gonna have one shot at this, so I'm gonna do the best I can with it. You know, who knows? Maybe I'll change.
Great, man. I'll tell you, Rob. The whole jiu-jitsu community loves you and your page, man, and we need those motherfuckers exposed, and 2, we need comic relief. You know what I'm saying? And you provide both of those to the jiu-jitsu community, man. And you know, when you give, you give. That's why you receive so much love back. And I've learned that in life, dude. When you give to communities and you focus on giving, it's gonna come back. That's just the rhyme and reason and nature of the world, you know. And yeah, dude, I check your page every day or so to see what
I appreciate the fuck out of that, man. It means a lot, you know, it really does, because it was one day I was just teaching kids classes, and the next day I was walking down the street and somebody wanted to take a picture with me, and I was like, "You fucking serious?" Like, "Oh, okay, that's weird, but all right." Like, you know, now it's to the point now where I have like phases. I wrote out an entire business plan about this, and now I'm going into what I call phase 3. You know, phase 1 was establishing a brand, which I think I've done well. Phase 2 was gathering a community who's willing to stand behind that brand, and phase 3 now is to dig into
the chips, baby.
What's up?
Phase 3 is cash in the chips.
Oh, not yet. I still got one more before there. I'm going to start actually calling people out by name, location, phone number, address. But I have, up to this point, I haven't done it because people online are psycho. So I don't want to give out information and all of a sudden somebody gets hurt. So my goal is to certain people, very specific line steppers. Like there's a dude who does, he runs Warriors Cove MMA. He has 3 locations. He molested a 15-year-old girl. He molested a girl, and he pled guilty to doing so. And because of the plea deal that he got, he was able to not be put on a sex offender registry. So for me, that's a line that you overstepped, and you don't need to be around children, yet he's still over there teaching children every day. So I'm not the one to wait around and wait for him to fuck up again. I'm more one of those people that's a line that's been crossed, or like the so that's a call out. That's somebody who deserves, like, hey, this is the location, just so people are aware. You do not need to bring your kids here, or if you do, at least know that the instructor is a convicted pedophile.
That's going, that's pretty, that's getting deep into shit, I mean, I wish you luck with that. I wish you luck with that. I would tell you, I'm sure you are strapped, but I would say stay strapped, because those motherfuckers are desperate, ignorant people.
Mm.
If they're involved in those type of martial arts, and clearly he's a fucking scumbag,
Mm.
So, I wish you luck with that. I would never do anything like that. You're a much braver man than me,
I get death threats all the time, man. I get death threats probably about once every 2 weeks now. So, really? But I think
I get dick pics.
Congratulations. That's how you know you really succeeded. It's not the death threats; it's when the dicks start coming into the DMs.
Well, my thing where I have my I go on Instagram and I tell all my followers to, like, send pictures of poop to somebody.
No, I haven't seen that.
Well, like I do it to, like, people that I don't like, or like somebody that I do like, one of my best friends. I'll be like, okay, guys, this is my friend Bo. Here's his Instagram. Everybody send him a picture of your morning poop. And then he'll message me. He'll be like, motherfucker, Jeff, I got 15 fucking messages from people, pieces of shit. And I was like, that's my way to mess with people, man. Whenever somebody wants to, like, talk shit to me online, and I get into these debates with motherfuckers, I'll be like, all right. The next day, I just blast them on Instagram, like, everyone send this dude a picture of your shit, and people send me messages like, done, did it, sent. They'll send me pictures of the poop they sent. This is what I sent him. I'm like, wow.
The point was for me not to see it. It was for him to see it.
I know, right? God damn it. No, I saw your poop.
Yeah, it's been a weird road, but the only way to do this is to I feel like that'll actually make an impact. If I can get enough people to be behind, like, at least in the community, to go, it's fucked up to molest kids. Like, we say it, but then there are articles posted about this dude up, and then nothing happens. No one gives a shit. Fuck that. There is no regulating body to this shit. That's another thing that irritates me. There's no regulating body to the martial arts, which I think is a good thing. I think it should be self-regulated. I think that internally the arts can handle themselves. But the problem is that all these people have this look the other way mentality. Like, if I just work on me and I train real hard myself, then I will make a difference. Meanwhile, these assholes are growing by leaps and bounds. They have like over 75 students per class in their studios, because they took the time to learn the ins and outs of the business, while these amazing martial artists are failing or floundering around because they're losing students to the asshole across the street who's ripping people off. And I can't fucking stand it. I can't sit by and let that shit happen. And You know what? If it's the last fucking thing I do, that will be the difference that I make in this community, is those assholes will at least be called out before I croak. And if I can do that, I feel like I've made my mark. Everybody has their own mark to leave in this shit. People want to be champions. People want to fucking teach people. They want to be the best. They want to be the best fighter. They want to start promotions. You know what I want to do? I want to call people out on their bullshit. I want to be like, that guy over there, he is ripping you the fuck off. You should know that.
Just don't be like Antifa, bro.
No, fuck that. No, man, that irritates the shit out of me just as bad as much. No violence. Hit you with a stick. No violence. Pepper spray. Like, what the fuck? You're hypocritical fuck.
Yeah, but dude, I'm down. I'm down with you for beating up pedophiles, bro.
I think most people are. Like, that's why I set up the rules that I set up in place. I have very strict rules that I set upon myself, so I don't just call out people because somebody said I don't like them. Like, you never see me just post up random Taekwondo. I'll be like, yeah, that's what Taekwondo looks like. Or Wing Chun. I'm like, yeah, that's what that looks like. That's what the art looks like. But it's when people are like, yeah, I can knock you out with my mind. No, you can't. And why are there 100 people in this room listening to you speak?
Amazing, bro. Amazing. That still amazes me. And I walk I'll see those videos where there's like a guy doing, what do they call it? Sistema, right?
Yeah.
And he's got fucking 150 dudes around him watching that shit. And they're all like, yeah, amazing. And I'm just like, And I walk around when I go out and like, you know, when I go do my errands and whenever I go pay my bills, I go to my restaurant, I go get my food, whatever. I walk around and I look at people, and I oftentimes look at these people. I'm like, are these like, how many of these motherfuckers walking around would like go to that seminar and think that shit was real? Like, how many people walking around are just unrealistic as fuck?
It's terrifying. It's like
It is.
that movie The Mist with Stephen King, where they're like all trapped in that supermarket, and then there's one crazy evangelical lady who's like, this is all because you didn't satiate God. You need to sacrifice somebody. And at first they're all like, yeah, she's crazy, don't listen. But then there's one person who listens. And then next thing you know, 75% of these people are listening. It's like, you know, if the end of times comes and I got to be stuck in a room with one of these batshit crazy people, they got to go first. Like, I'm sorry, I got to kill Steve. Steve's got to go. He believes in Systema. Steve now has to die. We'll just slide him over his body. I'm sorry.
And you know what? That's why we do jiu-jitsu. We get in those situations. I will forcefully get that motherfucker out into that mist, and that imaginary, whatever animal is out there is going to eat that motherfucking systemic ass dude and not me.
That's how you start the apocalypse, really. Yeah. All right, guys, we're all stuck in this Walmart together. Everybody raise your hand if you believe in Systema. Oh, yeah? All right, everybody get that
guy. Okay, second round. Who believes in Wing Chun? Okay, you two out.
You got to go. We can't have you hanging out.
Nope, got to go. No, I know you did a jiu-jitsu class. I don't care.
I'm willing to learn. Shut up. Get out in the mist.
Did you say Royce? I like Royce Gracie. You gotta go.
Oh, you fucked up.
You fucked up. We all know that R and H, they don't work together like that. If you don't know that, you go into the mist.
I love Relio.
Yeah.
Oh, poha.
Poha. I love acai. I like acai. I eat acai. Get the fuck out of
here. I swear, every morning in my smoothies.
but I know how to de la Hiva. I can do the de la Hiva.
Oh, speaking of technique, man, actually, just to kind of start wrapping this up a little bit, because we've been on here for a pretty good time, but which I appreciate, by the way. But I saw you pummeling. You were working a drill or a technique with somebody, or just slow sparring. I don't know what it was. It was like a day or two ago, and they got an underhook. And rather than fighting to get your underhook back, you let them get the underhook, and you jumped up into like an omoplata standing, and it took them down.
Yeah,
that was fucking awesome. I had never seen that shit before. Really? No. Yeah.
I've seen other people do that. No, I haven't. I'm the best. I did that. I invented that.
Well, I had never seen this shit before, but it's amazing takedown. It's a great concept, because if they don't go down on their own will, they're going to get omoplated standing, and it's just going to break. So, you know, it's kind of like you have to kind of go along with that. And it was real smooth in a transition. I was like, I'm going to try to steal that shit, because that was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's always been a big part of my game, is letting dudes have underhooks on me, because of and that's where my Darce choke comes in. A lot of people got Darced by me because, you know, we all know we should be fighting for underhooks. That's like one of the first 2 years in jiu-jitsu, you learn that shit. Underhooks lead to the back, yada, yada, yada. We all know that shit. The Lucas Lech Coyote guard is all based off underhooks. So, you know, I learned real early, okay, motherfuckers like to fight for underhooks, and I will get exhausted if I keep pummeling with this fucking dude. So I learned to let dudes keep the underhook, and I either throw my whizzer, and aka Darce, or I throw an omoplata up with it, and it's always worked for me. You know, I have a hard time getting other people to do it. I think I have a weird flexibility that's hard to like emulate, and sometimes can frustrate people when they try to like recreate my moves. They're like, "Wow, what is it?" It's like, dude, my feet go freaking backwards.
Jesus. Yeah, that's not broken.
No, it goes completely upside down. Watch this.
Holy shit! Jesus, man.
My feet go hurt your knee backwards, and I could put them behind my head without even really stretching or warming up. So I have a lot of really weird flexibility that is hard to emulate, and I think it can frustrate people. But yeah, that's something I do. I give up underhooks and find whizzers, darces, and omoplatas off of it.
You know, whenever I'm working, because I'm the striking coach over at the facility that I train at, because I did so much kickboxing and stand-up work. But you know, the pummel was always something that was really annoying. So what I like to do is whenever they get the underhook, I shoot a deep over. And so I just get it as deep in as I can. And then once I do, I just let my hand kind of rest almost like by my chest. And when they go to fight for the other underhook, I pinch and grab. And so now I can pull it over, and now I have both arms trapped, and it just gives me a free hand to just kind of hit them. I mean, it doesn't stay there forever, but it's kind of nice to be able to get a couple, like 2 or 3 shots in for a quick takedown. I don't know. I liked it. It's fun to do.
Rob, I like that. You're a beast, man.
I'm fragile and I bruise like a peach.
How big a boy are you? How big a boy are you, man?
I'm 180. I'm actually 185 now.
Okay. I can roll with you. You're not too big for me. I can roll with you.
No, you would. Fuck, I've seen you roll. You're gonna just crush me. But you know what? I am down because I love to train. I'm also only a purple belt, so.
Remember when a purple belt was like a god? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was when I was a white belt.
Nowadays, purple belts are like, I'm just a purple belt.
Well, I remember back in the day, like and here in Jacksonville, we only had like maybe like 3 blue belts, and like Hoyce was out here. He had a studio out here for a while, and then that was it. And then as time has gone on, now we have like several black belts. There's tons of black belts and shit out here. Like jiu-jitsu's grown.
Florida's huge. There's so much jiu-jitsu out there. I was out in Florida a month and a half ago, and dude, I was booking seminars left and right, man.
Yeah, like
people out there teaching and doing jiu-jitsu is remarkable.
Yeah, man. Coconut Creek is huge. Miami, Tampa, just Orlando. Even Orlando's got a really deep base of jiu-jitsu out here too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been there several times. I always have a good time when I go to Florida. Shout out to all my friends and my training partners and fans and everybody in Florida, man. I love you guys.
Yeah, dude. Now I will do a couple wrap-up questions. I like to ask one major question. It's my favorite to ask. There are stories from the dojo. So like, you know, like somebody shows up, he's a dick, you're in the studio by yourself, maybe he starts trouble, maybe it's a homeless dude, maybe there's just a funny story, but they're only stories that you would know about if you personally were there in the dojo. So I don't know if you have any. I'm sure you've been around long enough. You probably got a couple stored up. Just wondering what you might have in there for us.
You know, I've never really had a situation myself where I've had to like beat somebody up like that. But I seen one of Frangia's students, a guy named Sean Apperson, had a drunk Mexican kung fu guy come in talking about kung fu and all this shit, and Sean beat the crap out of him. Sean put on boxing gloves and was like, all right, let's fucking kung fu. And you know, Sean's an all right boxer, and Sean just beat the crap out of this fucking dude. Dude, that Mexican guy took a goddamn beating that day. And it was just crazy to see how easy it is to beat up people that don't know jiu-jitsu. It was just another fucking case, you know.
Yeah, you've never had.
But myself, I've never had to, you know, put my hands on anybody in that way. Thankfully.
Oh wow, you were one of the lucky ones, the lucky few. And then last thing, man, just go ahead and shout yourself out, man. Let people know how they can find out more about you, what's been going on with you, how they can keep up with the day-to-day Jeff Glover.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, I have glovergrappling.com is the website that I just got started, and I'm going to make it a subscription-based website like all the other ones. And I'm going to be putting a lot of my time and energy into that. My school is called Goodland Jiu-Jitsu, and it's here in Goleta, Santa Barbara, California. We have a website. You can go on the website. You can contact me at Jeff Glover BJJ on Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me. And I'm always available for seminars and private classes and group classes. Everybody is welcome at my gym. I don't care what race, color, creed you are. Everybody's welcome to come train with me. And yeah, shout out to my sponsors, Lucky Gee. Scott Nelson's always been there for me. Shout out to my master, Frangia, the greatest mentor I've ever had in my life. And shout out to all the jiu-jitsu fans and people training and doing jiu-jitsu. I appreciate all the love and support I've had over the last 20 years being in this community.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on. I really, truly appreciate that. I know you have shit you got to do, or maybe you don't, but you could have used your time for anything that you chose.
I got to clean my bong. I got a lot of shit to do. I'm really busy.
It's a busy day. But yeah, man, I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much for taking the time. Be sure to check out Jeff Glover. Feel free to go check out his new website. Feel free to go check him out on Instagram, which really is really easy to find him on Instagram. You just type in Jeff Glover, and it's like Jeff Glover BJJ now. It used to be Jutang.
Yeah, I used to come up with all these funny tags, and yeah, I'm done with that.
But yeah, man, thank you so much. All right, guys, we're getting out of here. One last shout out to my sponsors, FightBackCBD, Gold, BJJ, and MMA Pack. Thank you guys so much for helping me keep the lights on. And we are out. Deuces.
Deuce.